Todd Hartley and the Georgia Bulldogs do it again. They add one of the top tight end prospects in the country, depending on the outlet you look at, whether it's On3 or the On3 industry rankings. Jaden Reddell, 4-star tight end, is either the number 1 or number 2 tight end in the country. Coming off an unofficial visit to Georgia this past weekend, he decided he wanted to jump on board, commit to tight end university, is basically what Todd Hartley has built down in Athens. Big deal. I know that a lot of Georgia fans were not real thrilled to hear that Landon Thomas, the former tight end commitment that they had, flipped to Florida State, but Todd Hartley always has a plan. And Jaden Reddell, it was a guy who Todd Hartley has always liked, from the beginning. And he said, you know what? I'm not missing on this guy. I'm going to go get him. 6'4", 230. I think he's a faster, more fluid Oscar Delp. I'm not putting Jaden Reddell in the Brock Bowers category because Brock Bowers, I think, might be the greatest tight end in college football history. But this is a pass-catching machine. I've got the numbers right here. Last year, he caught 49 passes for just over 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns. Whether it's a jump ball, in the short passing game, he breaks a lot of tackles, gets yards after the catch. He's a vertical threat. Fluid route runner. This guy can do it all from a pass catching standpoint. Played basically wide receiver in Missouri, for his high school. But, he's going to have to, develop his run blocking a little bit. So I don't know if he's going to be able to step in and play right away because it's going to take a little bit of time to be able to block these edge defenders that he's going to see in the SEC down the road. But as far as catching passes, this guy is in. I'll tell another quick story. I think I told it in a video last week that there are a lot of really good tight ends across the country and in the state of Georgia that, Todd Hartley likes a little bit, but you have to have a specific skill set, right? To play Georgia at the university, to play tight end at the University of Georgia. You have to be able to take an end around, and take that as many yards as you can, like Brock Bowers is doing. You have to be versatile. You can't just line up and block, and you can't just catch passes, just right off the offensive tackle, right? You have to play in the slot. You have to play on the outside at sometimes. I mean, you have to be able to do so many things, and Jaden Reddell can do that. Again, soft hands, breaks tackles. I think someone said he runs at 4'4" at 230 pounds. Are you kidding me? This guy is a special tight end, and he's the number 1 tight end in the country according to On3. Now, the industry rankings that they have over there combine all the outlets, all the rankings, and when you combine them all, he's number 2. So whether you're number 1 or number 2, this is a top 50 player in the country. He still has his official visits to take. He's got some lined up to Alabama and Tennessee. This hurts both of those programs. I think Notre Dame has an official visit scheduled, but he jumped on board. And I'm not sure. I need to get with him and ask, hey, are you still taking those official visits or are you done? I think he's still going to take those official visits, but he's going to be a Georgia commit when he's in Tuscaloosa and when he's in Knoxville. And Todd Hartley, I've said it a while now, he is a probably top 5 recruiter in college football, probably the second best recruiter on the staff from an assistant standpoint. Glenn Schumann just does not miss. That guy is an elite recruiter, probably the best assistant on the recruiting show in college football. Todd Hartley's right behind him, and he got Colton Heinrich earlier this week. Both of them were on campus for unofficial visits. Colton was official. Jaden came down as an unofficial visitor. But this is a big deal for a lot of reasons. And now, this was a guy who I thought could commit this weekend. I'm a little surprised it took him till Wednesday to make this commitment. We heard a lot like, hey, this is a guy who really wants to play with Dylan Raiola. He's coming in town for an unofficial. Dylan Raiola is going to be there. We don't think it's going to take much longer for this kid to jump on board and commit to Todd Hartley. I mean, it's really tough to tell Todd Hartley no thanks. So his official visit to Georgia will be June 17th. Right now, we'll see if he bumps that up and gets back into town that first weekend of June with Dylan Raiola, multiple other commitments. Was supposed to take an official visit to Alabama June 10th. We'll see if that happens. And then he's supposed to be in Tennessee for that first week of June. We'll see if he still takes that or if he moves that Georgia official visit up. But big deal. He's productive. You watch the film and he flashes consistently. He's a mismatch for smaller defenders. He's more athletic than most of the defensive backs he goes up against. He can run a little post and get open. He can run a curl. take the ball, break tackles down the field. He's a vertical threat. If you hit him in stride, there are not a lot of defensive backs or defenders in general up in Missouri who are going to chase this guy down. Usually it takes 2 defenders to get him down to the ground. He falls forward at the end of runs, just drags defenders into the end zone. He's got a nice little stiff arm. The more you watch of his junior film, the more you're saying to yourself, wow, I get why Todd Hartley wants this guy. I think he's a more fluid, faster tight end than Landon Thomas, who I like a lot. Saw him play at Colquitt County. Was a 5-star. I don't think he's a 5-star in the On3 industry rankings. I might be wrong there, but when he flipped to Florida State, it was not ideal because Todd Hartley liked him a lot and was able to get him on board early. But Jaden Reddell is big time. This is a massive, massive pickup. And again, he's, according to the industry rankings, which I like to go by now, just because it's a mix of all of them, right? Number 49 player in the country, number 2 tight end, number 3 player in Missouri. If you're a top 50 player in the country, you're elite. If you're not, that's where I stop using the elite word. If you're a top 50 high school player across the country, you are among the best of the best. You're a guy who, should hear your name called at the NFL draft one day, probably earlier than later. And I think he has the skill set to do so. So Georgia's bringing him in. This year, they have the best tight end group in the country. They just signed 2, Pierce Spurlin, Lawson Lucky, who has had a tremendous spring. And then now in this class, they've got Colton Heinrich and they've got Jaden Reddell. So Todd's going after it, and he's getting his guys. More often than not, it's 2 tight ends, coming in. So in 21, we saw Brock Bowers, 22, Oscar Delp, 23, the 2 that I previously mentioned. Now 2 more tight ends in this 24 class. And there's a lot out there in 25 too that he can just go out and try to get. But it's hard to say no to Todd Hartley, especially when he's in front of a prospect and their family. I know how Todd does this. He becomes their best friend, and he gets in with the family as early as he can, and he makes it, it's his job to go out and land the kids. When you don't get a top target, it's almost like a waste of time, right? Todd Hartley is not recruiting to waste his time. When he goes out and focuses and said, this is my guy, more often than not, almost every time, he's able to land the commitment. Wasn't with Landon Thomas, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Colton Heinrich is the 3-star they picked up that Todd Hartley likes more than the industry. But Jaden Reddell is a big, big deal. He is an absolute dog. A guy who's consistently open, who can really, really run for his size. Now, again, he's going to have to, clean some things up from a blocking standpoint because he's not a receiver. He is going to have to play, in line and help run block occasionally because they want 2 tight ends out there. And it's easier to run the football when you've got 2 tight ends out there helping the tackle, So he's going to have to learn to block these big-time defenders that he's going to go up against but a pass-catching standpoint, he's one of the best, might be the best pass-catching tight end across the country in the 24 class. And Todd Hartley said, you know what, I'm going to go out, I'm going to get this kid. We're going to get him on the commit list before he takes these official visits. I want him on board. And again, I made a video last week. Real quick, make sure you're picking up Double Dog's best book in the world. I'm not just saying that because I helped write it. The best college football book in the world. Let's be specific here, but big deal. Pick up the magazine, sign up to the newsletter. It's been a big week on Dawg Post. I've been writing recruiting stories. This is the 3rd commitment in the last 3 days. Might not be done. I've got some in the trigger ready to publish whenever the prospect is. We've been told that there are a lot of guys really, really close to committing, and some could do it a little sooner than we expect. So, still keep an eye out there. Georgia's always on commit watch. And today they got Jaden Reddell, 4th commitment in a week, 3rd in the last 3 days, 2nd tight end committed this week. And we haven't even started, the thick of official visitors, which is going to happen in June. So massive week for Dawg Post, content related. We pushed so much stuff out this week. I'm ready to take a 24-hour break, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that anytime soon. Make sure you sign up to the newsletter to read everything that we've got out there, more on Jaden Reddell, what he brings to Athens. Everything I've just said, I've written it out. So if you're more of a reader than a listener, make sure to go check that out. But yeah, I thought this might have happened a few days ago. So I didn't make a video. I'm making it now that he is committed because I wasn't exactly sure what time this was going to happen. But big deal. 4-star tight end, borderline 5-star, number 2 tight end in the country has committed to Todd Hurley and the Georgia Bulldogs. Not a surprise at all. I've been watching my videos. I said he might be a candidate to pop this weekend, but he decided to wait a few days, and now he's on board. And we could have more soon, or they could have more soon. I don't coach on the team. Thanks for watching this video. As always, stay tuned for the next one coming up right now, and I'll see you over on Dawg Post.